Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to the Aspire for Excellence Foundation webinar series. And indeed, this is the last one for the year, December 2023. I want to start by wishing you all a Merry Christmas in advance. And thank you for taking out time to join, on the Aspire for Excellence webinar series. Tonight, we will be having a talk, titled, we have a talk tonight. Our speaker is already here. He's present and he's been waiting for us, in the person of Dr. Prof.Udanor. Our topic for tonight is personal retreat, prerequisite for the start of a successful new year. Personal retreat, prerequisite for the start of a successful new year. Just before we start, some ground rules, please. As you join the meeting, please put your microphones on mute. And also, please put off your cameras, The camera allowed for tonight is the camera for the speaker. Tonight, we will be taking this topic, and with us here is Dr. Prof.Udanor. Dr. Prof.Udanor is an associate professor of computer science in the field of artificial intelligence and high-performance computing at the Department of Computer Science, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He holds a bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering, a master's degree in computer science, is a data communication specialist, and a PhD in electronics engineering, an intelligent agent systems specialist. He has advanced trainings and certifications in cloud computing and network visualization, virtualization, Internet of Things, data science, grant writing, and online lecture delivery, health informatics, etc. Dr. Udanor is the current Director for Education Innovation at the Education Innovation Center, UNN. He is also the AI and Data Science Lead at the Center for Translation and Implementation Research at the College of Medicine, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Dr. Prof.Udanor is also the Technical Director at the Center for Competence in Digital Education at the World Bank Center for Excellence, UNN. He is also the current Head of Department, Computer Science at the Kogi State University, Ayimba, on sabbatical leave. By the grace of God, Dr. Collins is a pastor in Christian Charismatic Ministries, CCM Nsukka, and doubles as the National Director of Administration in the same ministry. On the national level, Professor Prof.Udanor led the Labor and Employment Cluster of the Volunteer Expert Group for the formulation of artificial intelligence policy for Nigeria. At international levels, he led the team that developed the Pidgin English version for Google's search engine. He has won several international and national research grants and awards. He is an invited speaker at the University of Johannesburg, New York University, Canada, University of California, Berkeley. Amongst others, Dr. Prof.Udanor has more than 40 peer-reviewed publications in international journals and conference proceedings, indexed and ranked by Clarivate Analytics, Springler, Scopus, etc. He's also a reviewer of many journals. He is the husband of one wife for 23 years, and he is blessed with children. Ladies and gentlemen, please, could you help me welcome Dr. Prof.Udanor for the night? You have the floor, sir, from now till 8:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Mike. Thank you, Aspire for Excellence Foundation, for the wonderful work you have been doing through this seminar series. I must say that the last one had a profound effect on me, and I think I've not recovered from the effect till now. And I think that other people may have the same experience. So I thank you for the opportunity to speak to everyone, to speak to us on this very important topic. So good evening if you are in Nigeria, good afternoon if you are from the global north, This evening we have a very important topic for discussion: personal retreat, prerequisite for the start of a successful new year. If you are in December, as I am, you will note that this is a very busy period for everybody. In fact, somebody made a joke sometime. He said at this point in the year, when somebody invites you to eat, you tell the person, wait till next year, I'll come and eat. So that's how busy this period can be. So let's look at the outline for our presentation this evening. We'll have a brief introduction to introduce the topic of discussion. Then we'll look at what should we be focusing on when we embark on personal retreat. We'll also look at how to plan for a personal retreat, and then what we do during the process of the retreat and how we prepare ourselves for the new year, which is just a couple of weeks away from today. So we begin with what is a personal retreat. What is personal retreat? There are so many ways we can define it. One, we can say it's a time that we disconnect from the world, we disconnect from our activities. This is December, the 12th month of the year. From January till now, we have been busy and engaged in so many activities. But at this time like this, it's a time that we think of disconnecting from the world and to reconnect with ourselves first. The first entity you reconnect with is yourself. Some of us are lost in activities. We are lost in engagements. So during a personal retreat, it's a time that we take thoughts on our aspirations. We think on how we have fared during the year, and we begin to think on how we're going to succeed in the coming year. It's also a deliberate act of self-care. Personal retreat is a time that we take care of ourselves. It's not just going on vacation, or it's much deeper than going on vacation. And this has to do with taking time to be with yourself, first of all, before you can be with anybody. And then also, we can also say that personal retreat is an investment in your personal growth and the impact you want to make. So when you take a personal retreat, you know it that you want to prepare yourself for personal growth. As growth is the characteristics of every living thing, we never stop growing. So it's also a time to add a measure of growth to our life and to the different endeavors where we get ourselves engaged in. It's also a time to take a breath, to breathe. If you remember the story of, was it George Floyd, or was it, I Can't Breathe, if you remember that. At a point like this in your work schedule, a time comes that to breathe becomes something difficult because of the stress and the things that are calling for your attention. So it's a time to take a deep breath. And also it's a time we set aside to get away from the noise of the world. And then for those of us who are people of faith, it's a time also that we pay attention to God, to what God is saying to us, and to check our walks with him to see how far we have fared during the year. So we'll move on. We'll look at a reflection, which is taken from the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 2. It said, by the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Each time I think about this, I ask myself, does God need a rest? Is he not a spirit? But I think that what is written is for us, that if God, who is a spirit, can rest, how much more you, who is putting on flesh and blood. So let's reflect on this as we continue with our discussion tonight. So what is the goal? What's the overall goal for personal retreat? The overall goal can be summarized in a sentence, which is to achieve all-round well-being and productivity. So everything we're going to say tonight is aimed at achieving an all-round well-being in every area of our lives, as you're going to see it in your mental, physical health, your work and productivity, in your finances, and the rest of it. The aim is that we achieve an all-round well-being and productivity. So let's look at what shall we be focusing on when we embark on personal retreat. What should our focus be on? There are 5 areas that I have itemized and which I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk on them in much detail as we progress. First of all is your personal well-being. So personal retreat, we're going to focus on our personal well-being. And this personal well-being comprises of your mental and emotional health. We'll take time to talk about this. We're also going to be talking about how to reduce stress reduction. And then we're also going to focus on our physical health. We'll talk about how to take a rest and recover from the tear and wears that the year has inflicted us with. We'll also look at rejuvenation. And then we'll talk about social connection, our relationship with people, the people around us. We're also going to consider it while we embark on personal retreat. Then our work and productivity is another area also that we need to also focus on as we discuss this matter of personal retreat. We look at achieving creativity and innovation in the workplace, improved focus, and better financial wisdom. Then the final one is spiritual rejuvenation. First of all, there has to be a connection with yourself. And then also talk about reconnecting with our maker for those of us who are people of faith. Then I'll be looking at them holistically now. Now, the first one is personal well-being. And the first item there is mental health and emotional health. Now, when we embark on personal retreat, is a chance for us to step back from the troubles, the mental challenges that we subject ourselves to, on how to solve one problem or the other throughout the year. And then it's also time to provide self-reflection and introspection. In self-reflection, it's a time for us to think about and meditate on our thoughts and our behaviors, our attitudes. It's a time for us to meditate on how we have been thinking, to evaluate our attitudes and our motivations and desires when we go into self-reflection. And then as we introspect, we examine also our mental and emotional processes. We during that period, we check our mental and emotional processes. How have you been processing things? How is it that you get agitated or you flare up over some certain issues? During the time of personal retreat, we look at all that. And then the essence of this is to give us a better mental and emotional health. And of course, also we will gain clarity on our goals and values and priorities. So these are the outcomes of this process when we take serious time to evaluate our mental and emotional health. I'm going to talk more on this because recently the issue of mental health and emotional health has become been in the front burner. For many years, people had been concentrating on physical health, but the matter of mental health and emotional health has come to play in this 21st century, and we must give it serious attention. So I'll still be talking more on that as we progress. And then also in personal well-being, we'll look at reducing stress. Stress today, some liken stress to the number one killer. Some call it a silent killer, especially when it gets to a chronic level. Stress in itself is not bad. Stress is needed to enable us to bring out our best. But when stress has lingered for a long time and has gotten into the chronic level. Because when we talk about stress, there are two main things that are concerned, which is the cause of the stress and the duration of the stress. So stress, when it has lingered and become chronic, has significantly affected our mental and physical health in a negative way. In fact, many studies show that stress is the number one killer. Is stress a disease? No, stress is not a disease, but stress can induce certain types of diseases in our body, as we're going to see. It is recorded that over 5 million people die every year globally due to stress-related diseases. And in our time that we are so busy, we keep multiple appointments, we are under pressure to keep to deadlines and timelines. We're under financial pressure from every side. Anxiety is mounting on daily basis as the economy and the naira is failing. Failed government is also another cause for stress. And the long work hours, especially with these days. In fact, the post-COVID era has made us to work almost 24 hours. We have meetings upon meetings, and meetings after office, meetings online, and all that. So, and the lack of time for retreat and relaxation, these have fueled stress and has increased stress in our own time. So we're going to talk more on that before we move to the next item. So we can see that stress affects different areas of our lives. Number one, excuse me, is our physical health. Chronic stress has been linked to cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, and weakened immune system. The American Psychological Association has said that a number of chronic diseases are linked to stress. Diseases like heart disease, diabetics, obesity, and the rest of them are linked to stress. They are stress induced. And then also on our mental health, prolonged stress increases the risk of mental health disorder, including anxiety and depression. One of the stress issues that people talk about today is the PTSD, the post-traumatic syndrome. Stress disorder is a case that affects not just the psychological behavior of a person, but also the physiology of the person. Another one similar to it is the social anxiety disorder, which is also another form of stress that makes us to be unnecessarily anxious when we are before people, or when certain occasions arise. For instance, a student wants to take exam, somebody is going to appear before a panel. Something happened this week. I traveled to Abuja with two colleagues to defend our proposal at the TED Fund, and we were about to do the presentation. We had done the rehearsal, and the three of us had agreed on who to start first. And unfortunately, the lady who was to start first, she got hooked up by this SAD. This is and she was just she couldn't make a sentence. She was just muttering just at one point, and we had to rush in to rescue her. This is as a result of social anxiety disorder, which happens to some of us. It could be a form of panic attack. So some of these things are mental health issues that may not be pronounced yet, but there are symptoms that things like that could happen. And then when we look at it also affects cognitive function, when we talk about cognitive function, we're talking about our ability to learn, our ability to memorize, our ability to concentrate. So stress can affect our cognitive function. The stress hormone called cortisol is released to monitor stress levels in our body, and it flows through the blood system, and it tries to fight to keep this stress level at a certain level that does not exceed what will be adverse to the human body. But when the level is exceeded, then our entire system is impacted. Our heart begins to beat faster, and this beating of the heart begins to pump blood faster through to different organs, and this can lead to high blood pressure. And one of the things that stress does is, like I said before, it affects the physiology of the brain, which means it alters the structure of the brain. Let's take, for example, the cortisol affects the hippocampus region of the brain, and some of the frontal cortex that help us to learn and memorize. So in some of, you see some figures like this. These are MRI images that show how the brain has been affected by stress. For PTSD, for instance, if you look at the images, you see that on the left, that there are two images there, one the PTSD and the one without PTSD. And then you see that this thing permanently restructures the brain. And that is why you discover that when somebody becomes a victim of this level of stress, it's life-changing, and it can stay with the person for the rest of the life of his life. And then on the right-hand side, we'll see also two brain images also shown, showing the stressed brain and the one that is relaxed. So the brain is the computer of the body. Brain is made up of billions of neurons that are highly interconnected, passing messages to every part of our nervous system. And stress reports immediately on the brain. So if you look at this figure, you also see that on the left, you see this curve, the stress cycle, that there is an acceptable level of stress. If you look at the green zone, you will see that this area, there's too little stress. And then when you get to the yellow zone, you will see that in the middle of the curve, that is the optimum level that the body can endure stress. And that's the point where you begin to feel fatigued. And then if you still push the body any further without retreat or relaxation, you will get to the level of exhaustion. And then you see the red zone, where you have anxiety and panic, anger, and nervous breakdown. At that point, the person is burnt out. And this is the point where it begins to affect both your mental health and your physical health. Some symptoms of it is you start having body pains, stress, and anxiety, insomnia. You find it difficult to sleep because you have overdriven the body beyond its allowed limit. So these are things that we need to note, and these are the reasons why we need to have personal retreat. Okay. Also, it affects our work productivity. Recently, there has been some incidences that have happened as a result of stress. There were not long ago, a number of senior colleagues on campus here were just dropping. You were with the person yesterday, tomorrow you hear the person has just died. It was healthy, no sign of sickness or the other, but you hear he slept, he couldn't wake up, and things like that. And recently, the Nigerian Medical Association reported cases of stress on some of their colleagues due to over extra work, because you know that the doctors are leaving the country in droves. And then in our tertiary institutions, you find out that fewer hands are left to attend to many patients. And some people become casualties of occupational stress. And of course, occupational stress can lead to decreased productivity. Sometimes you are not able to think correctly. You're not able to put things together. You may be staring at an object, and yet not being able to understand what you are looking at. And then it can further stress can lead to absenteeism due to sicknesses or breakdown. And of course, we've talked about the aspect of immune function. Stress can affect our immune system uh, so that it predisposes us to diseases. Once our body system that is built to fight diseases cannot fight it again because the level of cortisol or some other stress hormone has increased, will not be able to fight and resist diseases. So you see that even our digestive system, even our kidney, our liver, they all are affected. And permit me to say that stress also affects our reproductive system. And that is why at times you see that a couple will be trying for years to conceive, and they are not able to conceive. And when you check them medically, there may not be anything wrong, but you discover that their stress level does not allow the reproductive hormones to function properly. It also affects sex drive also. So stress is a complex and very serious thing that we must deal with. And I think that the antidote, the drug for stress is retreat. So here we see how stress attacks our immune system, like I've said, from our brain going to all the different organs, and our blood vessel is forced to work more than it should, and it leads to it affects other portions, other organs of our body. The medical doctors will help us to say more on this. Then the next area where we should focus on during our retreat is on personal health, our physical health. So we need to rest and recover. The body is an engine, and then if you overdrive it and you don't give it time to recover, then it will definitely break down. During this period, our personal retreat can be a time to take adequate rest. It can be a time to take good food, good combination to ensure that the relevant nutrients are built up in our system. It's also a time for us to take a break from strenuous activities. This will help us to improve in our physical health. And then while we are on it, our body begins to rebuild itself. The body has the mechanism to rebuild damaged tissues as we rest, as we eat, and then as we engage in less strenuous activities to keep fit, like jogging, games, outdoor exercises. This will help to boost our overall health and vitality. And then the next area also where we need to focus during our personal retreat is on social connections. Social connections. Man is a social being. We do not live alone. We live amidst people. We walk with people. And so during our retreat, it's a time for us to reflect on our relationship with our community and family members, work colleagues, and so on and so forth. It's a time to think on how we have fared in the area of relationship. Have we built a quality relationship? And then it's also time to mend fences as the need arises. It's also a time to improve our communication skills. During this period is a time we can take out to read and to write. D.L. Moody said that reading makes a complete man. while writing makes an exact man. So it's a time that as we embark, you are going to see when we begin to talk about preparing for personal retreat, you're going to see the things that you need to go with. So it's important that this period we take make notes and of our relationships, and write some things that will come to us during our period of meditation as we reflect on the previous months of activities. And then the next area we also need to focus on is on our work and productivity. Work and productivity. Yes, they said all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So the time we rest, it should also be a time of play also. What Mark Zuckerberg was telling the daughter, he wrote a letter to the daughter. He said the world is full of people who are too serious. Therefore, you need to go outside and play. So I think there's wisdom in that. Work is too serious that many a times we fail in taking time to recreate, time for recreation. So when we embark on personal retreat, it will help us to improve on our creativity and our innovation in the place of work. So by the time we return from it, we come back with fresh ideas, fresh innovations to positively, in fact, impact our work. So so you see that from what we said at the beginning, that the goal of this talk is to achieve an overall well-being and productivity. So it affects every area of our life. And then also one of the things that will happen in our workplace is there'll be an improved focus. When we take time out for personal retreat, we are going to clear our mind as we relax. We clear our mind and reset and recharge for the next work days or the next time to work. It helps us to concentrate and focus more on returning to work with fresh ideas. And then very important is the issue of finance. By the time we go on our personal retreat, we reflect on our financial management, how we have fared as how we have managed our fund over the period under review, because personal retreat is like a time of review. At that point, you're going to do a personal self-accounting. You're going to give account to yourself. May I say that personal retreat is like a conference with yourself. One is having a conference with yourself. You may have had conferences with other people all these months, but it's a time to have a conference with yourself too. And during this conference, you're going to give account also to yourself, how you have fared in terms of your financial expenses, how much has come into your hand during this period under review, what have you done with them? Are there areas of excesses that you need to cut down in the coming year? Are there areas of financial management that you need to deal with? And then also during this period, we also need to reflect on new ways to increase our income. I was reading an article recently, and I was talking about the stress, the economic stress upon people of this nation due to the removal of fuel subsidy and many other things. Of course, you know what that when you go to the market, what you saw yesterday, the price you saw yesterday is not what you're going to see today, and not what you're going to see tomorrow. All this has stress. This adds up to the social anxiety disorder that people face. The financial stress is enough. And then, of course, you're getting demands from left, right, and center. Some of them are genuine, and you cannot say no to them. You wish you are able to meet those demands, but your means are very limited. So how do I develop more skills to help me to improve in my income? These are some of the things you should be asking yourself during your personal retreat. And then also during this period, you may begin to think of investing in knowledge economy. Knowledge economy deals with availability of information, quantity and quality of information. That's you being able to process available quality and quantity of information to be able to better your economy. And I think that the time and days we live in now favors the knowledge economy, because you don't have to bother yourself with production. You may not afford production, but you can leverage on the principle of other people's products. And groups, organizations like Alibaba or AliExpress leveraged on that. If you read the story of Jack Tao, the founder of AliExpress, you discover that this man was a man who was rejected from so many places. In fact, he was rejected from even being a student. He applied to a certain school for several times. Got to a point the school had to write him not to apply again because they didn't want him. He applied in the police force. He was rejected. All his life was rejection, until one day when he got an idea to start on this principle of other people's products. He created the AliExpress, which has become a global brand today. But my colleague who came back from China recently was sharing with me that he visited AliExpress and discovered that the AliExpress has over 1,000 researchers under their payroll that are working around the clock on how to market other people's products. So this is an area that we may begin to think on as we reflect on personal personal retreat. Last weekend, my son was so excited. He sold his first car. He has been advertising on the social media that he sells cars and computers. And then he sold a car last weekend, and he didn't own a shop. He doesn't have a car to sell either. He doesn't own one, but he was able to sell a car, being still an undergraduate student. And then we can leverage on that to improve our finances come next year. So this is an area that we need to think of as we meditate on this. And then the final area of focus is on spiritual rejuvenation. Like I said at the beginning, is a time to connect with yourself. It's a time to go on spiritual exploration with yourself. It's time to discover yourself. It's a time to find out, to ask yourself, where am I at this point in my life? Where will I be in the next 1, 2, 5 years? What is my short term, my long term, and my medium term goals? It's a time to connect with yourself spiritually also. And then it's time to reevaluate your purpose. Why am I here? It's time to evaluate your beliefs and your value system. And then finally, it's also a time to connect with God. If you believe in God, it's a time for you to connect. It's a time to be with him, to spend time alone with God, to reflect on his promises. It's a time to listen to that inner voice, that still small voice that the noise of the world has drowned. So these are the areas that we have discussed on, that we can focus on. And then we move to planning a personal retreat. So if I'm going to plan a personal retreat, there are 2 areas of focus. One, what are the prerequisites? The first question is why? What is the purpose and intent of my going on personal retreat? Some can go on personal retreat for any of the reasons that we mentioned before, maybe to deal with their mental or emotional health or their physical health. Some can go for spiritual health. Some can go for the purpose of work and productivity, and so on and so forth. So, but it's important that your reason must be clear. You must know the purpose so that when you achieve it, you will know. And then the second question is where? Where do I go on this personal retreat? Do I stay in my house? If I stay at home, will I have the conducive environment? Do I need to travel out of town? Do I need to go to a hotel somewhere in town? And this is very important. This question is very important because a certain time ago, I took a leave, an annual leave. And unfortunately for me, I still remained in the town. And I discovered that while I was on leave, I was going to work every day. At a point, my wife asked me, what kind of leave is this? And since then, I never attempted to take any other leave because it was a failed leave. So where, the question of where is important. Choose a destination. And then with who, alone or a group? One can embark on a retreat with a group of people who have similar agenda, or you can go alone. But it's a question you have to ask yourself. The next question is when. When do I embark on this retreat, and what will the duration be? For me, my best period for personal retreat is usually the period after Christmas, between the end of Christmas and the New Year. It has always worked for me. And that 1 week is always very productive. And by that time, the town is dry. Everywhere is, everybody has gone to the village. And then it's a good time for one to take personal retreat. But you know what works for you. If you work, you may take your personal retreat some other point at some other time during the year. Okay. Then what do I need? You need to identify the items you need to go on your personal retreat. My advice for you, please do not go with your laptop. If it is possible, you can keep your phone, because you can't resist the temptation of continuing work when you go with some certain item. So go with your writing material, your pen, and so on and so forth, those basic things. And then how much is another thing. What will it cost me? What is the financial implication of going? This depending, if you want to go out of town, if you want to go out of your house, you also need to put into consideration and then ask yourself, is it worth it spending this kind of money? If you're going to lodge in a hotel or in a resort for 1 week, you found out the quiet place where you can be in tune with nature. Is it really worth it to spend this kind of money? So that question is important. All right. Then, so when you have planned for this, you need to stay focused. One, you need to be intentional on what you want to achieve. Two, you have to have a program. What is the program? You may have a program of you're going to read for the first 1 hour of the day. When you wake up, maybe you're going to pray, you're going to study, and then you're going to read, you're going to write, and you're going to make some notes. It all depends. You're going to have some games to relax and unwind. So it all depends on the program you plan for yourself. And then it's also important to stay disciplined during that period. Stay on the program, and so that you will be able to achieve much. I also advise that you disconnect from devices. Even if you need to go with your mobile phone, you must have a time when the phone comes on and when it goes off. And of course, must read, you must write. These are some of the things. Now we move to now when you embark on the retreat proper, what are the things that you need to do as you plan for the new year? We are believing that as the year is coming to an end, this is an opportunity for us to plan for the new year. And the planning, what we put in place will help us, will determine to a greater extent what the year is going to look like, irrespective of external factors. So there are 3 things I propose that we do during this retreat. Number 1 is to rewind. Try and replay some events that occurred during the year, events that happened. Why did the event happen? The event, was it a pleasant one? What did it add to you? What did it take from you? Try and replay your events in your memory, and then read through your diary. If you have the habit of writing in your diary daily or weekly things that happen, it's a period to go through your diary, look at the jottings. Especially many of us at the beginning of the year, we have written so many things we may call a New Year resolution, things we have planned to do. For instance, this year is coming to an end. Look at your diary. What did you say you were going to do in 2023? tick them. How many were you able to achieve? It's very important. It's a point. It's a kind of self-evaluation, right? So read through your diary, and you may discover also that there were things you said you wanted to do that you didn't do, and then find out why didn't you do them, and see if some of them can be carried over into the coming year. It's also a time to return to places you went through the year, not physically returning, but um, some of it you may look at your photos you took, the events you attended, the people you met, the new things you learned. What did they add to your life? What did they remove from your life? And things like that. And then relive important experiences also. What are the important things that happened to you this year or the preceding year? What are those things? If you can remember them, if you can recall them, are they good ones? Do you want such ones to continue to happen in the coming year? Are there unpleasant events that you want to prevent in the next year? All right. So the next thing we do is to review. At the point of review, you look at your previous goals. Like I mentioned before, some of the things you said you're going to do at the beginning of the year, we are full of zeal and exuberance, and we make a lot of promises to ourselves, to God, and to the people around us that we're going to achieve this. Some of us have said, I'm going to make a certain amount of millions before the year runs out. So look at your goals, the goals you have set at the beginning of the year. Check which one were you faithful in keeping to. And then also, let's also review your met expectations. I'm not promising you that because you went on personal retreat, that everything you planned will come to pass. No, it's not. If it comes out good for you, that's okay. But for everybody, it may not be the same. So there are unmet expectations, maybe expectations from yourself. First of all, the things you said you were going to do, you disappointed yourself due to sometimes circumstances beyond your control. You were not able to meet those expectations, or expectations from friends, colleagues, the workplace, or be from business, as the case may be. So review also, why were those expectations unmet, and what could I do in the coming year to be able to remedy such expectations. All right. And then review also your previous successes. What led to those successes? Why did I succeed? I believe that success does not stand alone. Every success must give birth to another success, because for success to be success, it must be successive. So review your previous successes. It is easy to succeed again if you understood the reason why you succeeded. And it's the same thing with failure. I tell students that if a student is not able to tell why he or she failed a certain course, the student will likely fail it again. So we need to review our previous successes, and may I add failures also, why you succeeded and why you failed, and such that you'll be able to either repeat your success or avoid the point of failure. Another thing we need to review is our return on investment. If you have made investment this year, no matter how small it has been, maybe you started a poultry farm, a fish farm, or some online business or the other. It's a time to review the return on your investment. As you try, and I believe that you should, if you are serious with your business, you should have a notebook where you record your income and expenditure. And then it's a time to look at it to find out how you fared, whether that business is worth it. Because sometimes we discover that some businesses take more from us than add to us, that rather than increase us, they deplete us. So check it if that business is worth continuing, or you need to change direction on whatever that investment is. It could be investment in social capital, it could be investment in knowledge, investment in skill. Has it paid you as you expected it? These are some of the things you should review. Also look at the impacts. What impacts have you made in the preceding year? How many people have you impacted? How many situations have you has felt your impact? Can people say that when they met you, something changed about their life? Were you able to leave a legacy as you met people. So review the impact you have made on people. Also, ask important questions. It's important to ask yourself. One of the persons we cannot deceive is ourselves. Ask yourself important questions that you avoid other people asking you. And then, of course, self-evaluate. It's important to draw a sheet of paper where you have these things. As you go through these things, you're evaluating yourself, your productivity, and your and the rest of it. And then the last stage is to re-strategize. And this is what we should be doing as we plan for next year. May I say that the top 1% of the successful people of the world engage in some of these things that I will say shortly. The most successful people take these things as a habit. One, they set smart goals. Of course, you may not be new to SMART goals, but it's important to set goals that you have a means to measure. You're able to, goals are specific, they are measurable, they are attainable, and the goals, you within the given time, you'll be able to measure whether you've achieved those goals. You must have indicators. What we have KPI, key performance indicators, that will help you to measure when you have achieved a specific goal. And then you tick that and you move on to the next one. So do not, some people will say, well, I set goals last year, I couldn't achieve any. There's no point setting any other one. No, don't give up. Set goals. You may fall or you may not get it perfectly, but do it again. After some time, you get used to it. Set smart goals, and if possible, place it on your wall where you see it every morning, every day. Before you go out, before you sleep, you see those goals until those goals become internal, that you don't need to look at the walls anymore. And you have a self-regulated clock within you that reminds you of those goals. And our league, somebody said dreamers never sleep. So dream big. As you dream big, you aim big. You work for it. You work for your dream to actualize it. All right. Your dreams are a futuristic forecast. You are seeing tomorrow today through your dreams, where you could be tomorrow. You are seeing yourself there today, and you are walking, climbing the ladder to get to that point. And all right, the next thing is to find the right connection. This has the right connection. Right connection has to do with social connection that I talked about before. I want to say at this point that there's one person you meet in life that connects you to so many people. For instance, one of my mentees, a student I mentored many years ago during his undergraduate days, where I supervised him, I mentored him, and then until he went outside the country to do his postgraduate, his PhD. He connected me. This year, I was invited to give 3 talks by the University of Johannesburg, South Africa, York University, Canada, and University of California, Berkeley. It was through one connection. And this same connection connected me to what would have been a big financial open door for the year, but I'm going to tell you about that shortly. So find the right connection. Your social connection is very, very important. All right. So as you plan for the year, as you meditate, as you retreat for the new year, there is that one person that you need to meet in the year that will connect you to the right doors. It's very important. We are all highly interconnected. Okay. Now, the fourth thing is never stop trying. You've tried before, yes. Try again. Try and try again. So never stop trying. I told you the story of Jack Tao, and it was a man who many other people would have contemplated suicide. But today, AliExpress is a global brand because a man never stopped trying. So What you tried last year didn't work. Find better ways to do it. Once you are convinced that you are doing it the correct way, keep trying. All right. Also know that failure is not final. Failure is an opportunity to excel better next time, right? And then I want to end with this one: press the submit button. I tell you a story of what happened to me between last year and this year. Something I regret. I don't like telling the story, but I have to tell it because we need to learn. Uh, don't fail to press the submit button. About this time last year, there was a call for a proposal by York University, Canada, and I was working with my team at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital. We came up with a proposal. I was leading it, and then we wanted to work with the NCDC, and they wanted to partner with them. We felt that that was going to give us an edge in our proposal. And then over time, we tried to get them involved until at a point we got the director, the DG, who said he wasn't interested, that he was overloaded. And it kind of discouraged me. And I refused. I didn't press the submit button. But this came back to haunt me later in the year because those who submitted, a good number of them received their funding, some to the tune of over $300,000, some about 400. And that was not what was painful to me anyway. But the point was that a point came that the funders decided that they still have more fund to give out. And then they were looking for other people whose proposal were rejected. And then with my contact, we tried to speak to the person who is leading the team. He asked the question, did he submit? And they said, and they asked me, did I submit? I said, no, I did not submit. And they said, there's nothing he can do about it. And that was how I lost about 400,000 Canadian dollar. So whatever you do, press the submit button. Don't, if you have the opportunity, you see adverts, you see call for proposal, call for things that could help you, please fill it. You never can tell which one that will favor you. So on that note, I want to summarize all what has been said, that personal retreat can serve as a holistic experience which addresses various aspects of our lives. It can also provide you time and space for reflection, relaxation, and rejuvenation. It also contributes to overall well-being and can have a lasting positive effect on your personality, on your work, on your health, on your relationships, and of course, your spiritual dimension. And of course, it will enable you to plan successfully for the year ahead. So as I close with this reflection found in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 15b. He said, in returning, another word for it is withdrawal. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and ye would not. I don't like how it ended, but I pray that we would. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Could you please appreciate Dr. Prof.Udanor, please, for this? Thank you very much for this. Thank you very much. Um, great, great, great. I don't know if we have any question. Okay, for questions, we have Chinwe Azano has just raised. If you have a question, please, okay, you could raise your hands or you could put them in the chat box. The first hand here is Chinwe Azano. You can unmute Chinwe and ask your question, please. You could also put your questions in the chat box, please.
Okay, well, before they ask the question, may I also add that we have a doctor in the house, Dr. Patrick Ago. So in case you want to ask any medical related questions, please feel free to ask. Our doctor will be able to also answer you, especially with respect to stress and managing stress. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, that's true. Dr. Patrick Agu is here, just in case we treated something on physical health, mental health. Okay, so if you have any questions along that line, he will help. Okay, let's take, you can unmute Chinwe Azano, and you can please ask your questions, please. Thank you. Are you speaking, Chinwe? We can't hear you. Ah, okay, you raised your hand in error. Okay, okay, no. All right, that hand was raised in error. Does anyone have any question or any contribution to make? Okay. You can please unmute your mic and you can ask your questions, or you could put them in the chat box also. I'm looking at the chat box. Can't seem to see any question in the chat box for now. Looking at the chat box, I can see thank you so much. Thank you from Naomi, Adamu, George, Patrick. Okay, for now, it doesn't appear as if we have any questions for today on the chat box. Okay, if you don't have any questions, does anyone have any contribution to make just before we call it a night? If you do, please, you could also just unmute and make your contributions, please. Okay.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Hello.
Yeah, good evening. Go ahead.
All
Yeah, we
right.
can hear you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the presentation. I learned a lot of things.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question and I also have a contribution. So I think I
Okay.
should go ahead with the contribution first before I ask the question. So for the contribution, I would like to say that is basically on the aspect of stress that we don't actually need to, from what we've heard already and what we've learned so far, it's obvious that stress is a time bomb, and if not tackled on time, can actually lead to death. And we don't need to have a special retreat set aside in order for us to ward off stress. We can actually prevent stress daily by ensuring that we separate work from our rest time. Like if you're in the office, let office work be for the office. When you get to your place of rest, I know sometimes you have to do one or two things as mop up when you get home, but still set out time in the night to rest. The best form of rest is sleep, and every adult should have at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep, at least 6 hours of sleep. So some can get 5. I know some that have, maybe you have a deadline to meet, you reduce it to 4, but at least have time to sleep. There's something about the brain. The image you show, the MRI image of cortical degenerations that occur when one is stressed out, those can be prevented by simply sleeping. It can be prevented by sleeping. All right. So thank you so much. Then for my question is about group retreats. How can you, if you observe that going on retreats as a person, you don't tend to achieve the required goal, it looks as if it would be better if someone was there, and then ideas are being shared, and
Mm.
you're planning together to meet a particular goal. How do you get that? How do you make that happen when no one is actually interested in a retreat and there's something like a group retreat? How can you make that possible? Is it bad to go to retreats with your gadget so you can do video calls with someone that might not be available to come to the retreat center with you?
Okay.
So that's
Thank
my
you.
question.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. Thank you for the contribution also. Yeah, remember the first thing to consider is what's the intent of that retreat? What do you want to achieve? Some of us, maybe you want a spiritual retreat. maybe you want to improve your prayer life. And then, of course, you know that scripture says that iron sharpens iron. You may need to go with somebody who will encourage you as you pray, if that is the purpose of that retreat. And then also getting people to go with you is also difficult because people have different programs and activities. They may not align with your timing. So so it's a matter of getting somebody who is of like mind, somebody who, and then both of you agree on that. Otherwise, that is if you must go with somebody or if you must go with a group. And then I think that over time, if you notice that if you discuss with friends and colleagues, you discover that there are people who are also in the same state you are, people who think they need to breathe fresh air, people who think they need time to reflect on life and then plan better. You discover that there are such people, and then you can go with them. Then, but if that's not the case, going with your device, one of the points I raise is to maintain discipline. You must know when the device should be on and when it should be off. It is called, it's very intrusive. It's very intrusive. So one alert can disorient you from what you are doing, can distract you. So you should know when to put it off. Yes, so if you, there's nothing wrong going with your device, but the most important thing is to maintain discipline. You need to avoid or fight the temptation to always look at the phone. You know, research shows that each one of us, on the average, looks at our phone at least 150 times a day. I don't know, you see that sometimes you have this compulsive desire to check your phone if a new WhatsApp chat has come in, if a mail has come in. And so many times we check your phone, not specifically for anything, not that you're expecting anything, but it has become a habit. So for you to deal with that, it's either you keep the device at home or you need a higher level of discipline to be able to manage the intrusive nature of the device. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Yes, sir, it did. I also have one more question. Sorry, this is coming
Go
a
ahead.
bit late.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much for that, Daddy. So my question is, I understand that a lot of persons might not really be open to personally taking themselves on retreat. Is it possible that an organization can choose to have an organizational retreat? Let's say this 1 week. If you are a member of this company, there's a thing called rest period, and we must all recess and recede and try to get rejuvenated for this period of 7 days. Are there things like that?
Sure. Organizations do that for their purpose is for productivity. They can take senior management level members. I've seen it has happened in my university several times. I think there was we had one vice chancellor who was very much interested in productivity of the staff. Usually he would take the senior management members like directors and heads of department, will take them to outside the town, particularly takes them to Asaba. And then there's a retreat center where during that period, it gets people to talk to them on leadership, and there's a time for reflection on how to improve on productivity. Yes, organizations do that. And of course, churches do that also a lot. So organizations can do that, and but each one is tailored to achieve a specific goal. All right, churches will aim at your spiritual well-being as it affects others. Organizations may look at workplaces may look at improving your productivity as you work for them. All right. So yes.
Much, sir. Thank you so much. That will be all for now. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, for your for the question. I think there are no other questions. By the way, if you want to receive the materials, the slide pack that will be shared, if you check the chat, you would see a link. Okay, please click on the link to join the Aspire for Excellence Foundation WhatsApp platform. The slides and the materials will be shared. Okay, in that WhatsApp platform, either today, tomorrow, or just some few days from now. Okay, all right. Thank you very much for everyone for joining. And Dr. Prof.Udanor from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, we really want to say thank you very much for taking out time to talk to us today on personal retreat. Okay, a prerequisite for a successful new year. It is my hope, my dreams that everyone who has listened in tonight will take out some time to go on a personal retreat, at least to plan and to prepare for next year. We know that in Nigeria times are hard, but like you said, the knowledge economy is something that it's evolving, and it's something that really, really would help to boost our, not just our health, even our work, our productivity. As a people, as a nation, and that can make us better. We typically, in case we do not get to hear from every one of you, want to say Merry Christmas in advance and a prosperous New Year. Take some time to plan, prepare. The year can only be successful if you plan and if you prepare for it. Okay, and if you take some time also to reflect the high points, the low points, and what you will do in order to become better. Okay. We usually like to close by thanking everyone who has come on the call, and I normally start with those on the call with A. So I start with Adebola Mark, thank you. Adioye Victor, thank you. Agu Patrick, thank you. Ajana George, thank you. Azana Chinwe, thank you. Belema Lalibo, thank you. Blessing Chinenye, thank you. Catherine Amos, thank you. China Gorob Uche, thank you very much. Chuksegu, thank you. Chukuma Oche, thank you. Chukuma Oji, thank you. Our speaker, Prof.Udanor, Doctor, thank you. Efyong Emmanuel John, thank you. GK Onya, thank you. Elizabeth Emefene, thank you. Geoffrey Elike, thank you. George E, thank you. Godson Beremako, thank you. Harold Ibo, thank you. IBK, thank you. Idowu Cornelius, thank you. Ifonanya Okoro, thank you. Jackson Eleze, thank you. Godwill Ezuka, thank you. Justina Iwebu, thank you. Kenneth Digital, thank you. Lizzie Obayori, thank you. Moses Mamidu, all the way from the north of Nigeria, thank you. Naomi Babe at Adamu, thank you. Nana Anwara, thank you. Okuma Ayu, thank you. Olaya Shola, thank you. Olawale Obayomi, thank you. Onyuku Chinomso, thank you. Osijewe, thank you. Otowe Achora, thank you. Philip Isoko, thank you. Raphael Aderonti, thank you. Roslyn Elijah, thank you. Dr. Sabion Ribo, thank you. Samson Jayola, thank you. Selepiri Orubibi, thank you. Sydney I think that may be Pastor or Reverend thank you. William Asimita, thank you. And Wisdom Evil, thank you very much. Merry Christmas in advance, and please have a successful new year. To your success next year. Thank you.